Hi there, welcome back. Today, or tonight even, I'm going to make some leek and potato soup because it's got really cold outside again, and best thing when you come in from a day at work is a nice hot bowl of homemade soup. So equipment wise, first of all, again we've got our big soup pot. You need a decent sized measuring jug to take 1.5 litres of stock and a good old hand blender. Ingredients, you need leeks, so 2 or 3 leeks depending on what size they are, 1 onion, about 500 grams of potatoes, 3 stock cubes, and a wee dash of olive oil and a wee lump of butter in the bottom of the pan. So first of all we'll deal with the leeks. I have to admit I've been a wee bit lazy. Usually I will go to the grocery shop to get leeks because I like the ones with the leaves on it, because that's the best part of the leek. I don't know why the supermarkets cut them off, but it gives all the colour, well not all the colour, but a lot of the colour and a lot of the flavour to the soup. But I was lazy tonight. I went to the supermarket, which is cheaper, but for some reason they trim the leeks and you end up with this. Which still makes nice soup, but if you can afford it and you've got a kind of independent greengrocer nearby, go get the whole leek instead of the trimmed ones. But anyway, 2 ways to deal with the leek. You can either chop it up all the way along, but what I prefer to do is to kind of slice it lengthways and essentially cut it into quarters. The reason for that is when you open it up you can see there's lots of dirt inside the leek, so we're going to have to wash this before we actually use it, and by kind of quartering it like that it opens all the leek up and you can run it under the cold tap and wash it all out. So that's what I'm going to do just now, and then I'll come back to the chopping and preparing of the veg. Okay, so that's the leeks washed. You can see this is the big leek that had all the dirt in it, and then all the dirt's been washed out. That's ideal, you really don't want grains of dirt in your soup. And now all we're going to do is chop it up like that. And you want to chop it up in bits about that size, all the way down to the end. You can chop it to basically there, so there's very little waste for this. Potatoes, again, I use the red ones because I like them better, but you can use whatever potato you want. I'll leave the skin on, you can take it off, and it's a simple case of halving, quartering, and then just chopping into bits maybe 0.5 centimetre thick. And lastly, the onion, top and tail it. And take the outer layer of skin off, which can be a bit fiddly. And go. Get half it, slice downwards, careful with your fingers, and then just chop it finely, like that. When you get to the end, just tip it over and go through it like that. So again, there's very little waste. You want to use as much of your products as you can. As you can hear, I've got the kettle boiling for the stock, so I'm going to chop all this and then we'll move over to the cooker and we'll start making the soup. Just a wee pointer when you're chopping the veg. I just chopped the end off my potato there and I found it's got a kind of regrowth and black bits in it. Okay. The rest of the potato is perfectly usable. I've basically chopped off the 3 slices that I had it in, and you can see there you can use the potato. So rather than throw out a whole potato, chop off the bad bits, use the good bit, and again saving on waste and saving you money. Right, so veg is chopped. We're just waiting on the oil and butter to melt, and you can see a low gas for this because again you don't want the butter to burn or change colour, you just want to melt and mix with the oil. I've got my stock on the go here, so that's 3 stock cubes with 1.5 litres of boiling water poured over it, and you want to make sure that the stock cubes are all dissolved, so hopefully you can see that one stuck there, so just squash it and keep it moving until it all dissolves. A point I learned yesterday, I thought my soups were okay for vegans, but it's not with these stock cubes, because believe it or not, in these vegetable stock cubes there is lactose, as in milk, which is an odd thing to put in vegetable stock cubes. So if you're wanting to make soup for vegans, you're going to have to check the ingredients of your veg stock cubes and make sure there's no lactose in it. But that's hopefully easy to find and you can just swap them about. So main difference with the leek and potato soup is in my other soups you just put the onion in first. We're actually going to put the onion and the leeks in. Reason for this is they are very similar vegetables and we need to soften down the two of them together in the oil and butter before we add the potatoes in the stock. So make sure you get everything in, and it's just a case of stirring it, getting it all coated in the oil and the butter, and just gradually basically cooking it or warming it through until it's a wee bit softer, and the onion will change colour from this bright purple to a lighter pink. So I will do this, it'll take about 5 minutes and then we'll come back to it. Right, so that's been a couple of minutes and that's the leeks and onions softened down. You can see it's kind of wilted a bit, so slightly less, well it looks like there's slightly less in the pan. How do you know when it's all softened? Well, like I say, the onion does change colour to a lighter pink, and the leeks kind of go slightly less vivid green as well. But the main hint is you get this fantastic smell of the leeks if you've got really fresh leeks. And actually if they're incredibly fresh and good quality, your eyes will start watering, just like they do with a really good onion. So now we're ready to put the potatoes in. And give that a quick stir round just to mix it in. Again, it's still on a low heat. You don't want to be kind of frying the onions or anything sticking to the bottom of the pan, because that just adds a flavour to the soup that you don't want. Next, while I was softening the veg, I kept on stirring my stock on and off, and now it's all completely dissolved. So we'll pour that in. And final thing is a bit of seasoning at this stage, and it's just a bit because there is seasoning in the stock cubes, and like I've always said, you can put seasoning in, you can't take it back out. So if you put too much in at this stage, then if it's too salty, it's too peppery, there's nothing you can do and you're stuck with a really salty or a really peppery soup. So that's all. Make sure all the bits of leek and onion that are stuck to the side of the pan are pushed down into the stock. Turn the heat up full whack, like so. So we can bring the stock back to the boil. When it gets to the boil, turn it down to a simmer, so turn the gas back down and let it just bubble away, don't let it like boil fiercely, and that'll cook in 10 minutes, and then we'll come back to it then. Okay, so 10 minutes has passed. You can see the leeks have pretty much cooked, they're all soft, so the main thing is the potatoes. So find a bit of potato, stick a knife into it, if there's no resistance, the potato's ready, which it is. So what we need to do is just move that off the ring that it's been on, let that cool down for 5-10 minutes before you whiz it, because you don't want to spray boiling hot stock all over you. That's the soup been blitzed. So now the last thing to do is to taste it and check the seasoning. Again, that's pretty spot on with the seasoning for my taste. And like I say, if someone wants more seasoning, then it's easy to put in now. You've not over seasoned it. So I'm just going to measure this out, and we'll see how much we've got. It should be close on to 3 litres of soup. Okay, so I've measured out the soup. There's 2.5 litres of homemade soup here. The reason it's less than the likes of the carrot soup and the celery soup is because of the leeks. The leeks are less dense than the carrots and the celery, so therefore when you blitz it there's less liquid. But still, this cost me £1.40 to make. So 2.5 litres homemade soup. You saw the ingredients, it's just leeks, onions, potatoes, stock a little bit of oil, a little bit of butter. Or you could go and buy your tin of Heinz or other soup before I get accused of bashing Heinz, which is going to be about 90-95 pence for 400 millilitres. I know what I prefer. Hopefully you've seen how easy it is, and you'll want to give this a try yourself. Again, I'm going to let this cool. I'll cling film it, I'll put it in the fridge, and it'll last easily 5 days in there. If you want, you can split it up into little Tupperware tubs into portions and put it in the freezer. It'll last as long as you want in there. Take a portion out the night before, and then the next day you can have a nice portion of homemade soup for your lunch. Alright, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos and enjoy.